Alright, so here's part 3 of what we're doing with the theory. What I'm going to do now is we're going to talk about some suspended chords and how we get those and just what they are. Alright, so let's go back to our major triad. What we talked about a few videos ago was a major triad being comprised of a 1, a 3, and a 5. And just to recap that really quick, say if I had a G major scale, I'm going to take the 1, the 3, and the 5. And that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes I'm taking them from. So I just find the 1, 3, and the 5. Go to the G, a B, and a D. I play those on strings so I can have multiple strings in there. So I'm playing my G here, a B here. Here's my open D, G, D, and another G. So there's my G chord. So I have my 1, my 3, and my 5. And what we're going to be talking about today is suspended chords. So what suspended chords do is they take away the third note, or they suspend it and replace it either by going up to the fourth or by going down to the second. When we go down to the second, we're going down a whole step, and that's called a sus2 or suspended 2. When we go up to the fourth, we call it a sus4, and you've probably seen those notated as like D sus4 or D4, D sus2, D2, etc. So a lot of us seen 5 chords, which mean fifths, but now we see the 2s and the 3s, so that's what those stand for. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the key of G, since it's the one we've been talking about, and what we're going to do is we're going to find the third and then either lower it or make it higher so we can find out how to form a sus2 and a sus4 chord. Alright, so here's our G. We found our first, our third, and our fifth. Cool, so basically we're going to focus on our third, which is a B. Now I'm going to grab this B really quick, just so I can see one. Now in order to make it a sus2, what I want to do is take this third and we're going to move it down a whole step. So when I move that note down a whole step, you can do this by the alphabet, or you can just go down frets to see what it looks like. It's a B. If I go down 1, it's B flat. If I go down another half step, it becomes an A. So basically our chord now will be a 1, a 2, and a 5 instead of a 1, a 3, and a 5. And this is where the sus comes in. Again, we're suspending the third, so it's not going to contain a third anymore. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your G chord, you're going to take out the third, and we're going to lower it to an A. So if I play it in this position, my B in this lower string is now going to be an open A. If I play my G chord now just the way it's made up, you can hear that. Now, the thing is, when you have a chord so close, or a note so close, like a G and an A in that lower octave, if you listen, it just sounds kind of muddy. So really what you want to do with your chord is you want to be able to move that note or the third in the higher register or the higher octave. For example, if I have my G chord up here, with my higher B, what I want to do with that B is I want to lower that one a whole step and find what's there. So here's my open B. I can also find this B here on the 4th fret. So I'm going to take that one just so I can show you how I'm moving down. So here's a B. I'm going to go down a half and then another half to get the A. Same thing I did over here. I'll move down a half and then another half to get my A. But again, we just want the higher octave. So here it is. So now what I'm going to do is, instead of playing a G with this open B in here, like that, we're going to lower it. I'm going to eliminate this one too, so I'm just going to have my G down here. I'm going to play a D up here, so it's going to be the shape I was doing before. And now in order to play that A, right there. So now I'm adding the A in there, and you can hear it's clearly a different chord. When I take that off and I go back to my G shape, or my G chord, you hear the third, or just the G in there. But when I add that A in, I get what's called that sus2 chord, because now I took my third, which is a B, and I moved it down to an A. Cool. So again, you can make cool progressions out of that. So you can almost come up with a riff within a chord just because you can move that one note back and forth. And a lot of times you'll hear a chord, it doesn't quite sound like a G, but it sounds something a little bit prettier, and you'll know that now it's a sus2 chord. Alright, let's do the sus4 really quick. So before we took the B, and we moved it down to get the A. So now for a sus4, what we're going to do is we're going to move it up a half step to the 4th. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find my B. So I'm going to use the open B this time, just like I did over here, and instead of moving it down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up a half step to a C. And the reason I'm going up only a half step, because when we're doing our scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th is actually only a half step after the 3rd. It's not a whole step, so there's no reason to go up a whole step. We want to keep the order of the scale. 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, and the 4 is right after the note. You can see it right there. So again, we don't want to do the lower register, we want the higher one. So this is a C. I'm just going to go, here's my B, there's the C. So a half step up. And again, higher B, I can see myself going a fret up there. So here's the same notes, B, C, B, C. So here's the higher C. Now again, we need this on its own string so we can play the chord. So what I'm going to do is go back to my G shape. Again, we're eliminating the third. So I'm just going to be playing the G down here. And basically what you're doing is you're blocking out the A. If you're wondering what's going on with the A string, you're just going to block it out. So here's my G, or my 1. Here's my D, which is my 5th. Here's another G, which is another 1. Now instead of having a B up here, the third, we're going to play this C. So now what we can do is our shape is going to include this C, so we're going to actually just finger it like a C chord almost. So I'm going to have my third there, and my first finger up here, and then I'm going to bring my pinky up to play that higher G. So when I play this whole chord, you hear that prettiness on top? I love this chord, so you can hear it. So again, if I took that off, I'd just go back to just having a B in there, and I raise it up. So when I put that finger down, that's our 4th, or our suspended 4. And again, here's another riff you can do within there. Cool. And again, what we did is we took the third, which is a B, I moved it up to the higher octave, which is right here, and then I raised that a half step. And the note becomes a C, or a suspended 4th, because why? It's the 4th note in my scale. So to recap, suspended 4 is taking the third, so find the third of your scale, raise it up a 4th, and then find the best string to play it on. Once you learn the chord shape, you can kind of just really know where it is. So it just looks like that. And again, I'm using that because I'm keeping my 2 G's in there. I got my D's, now I have my 4th in there, which is a C. To get the second, or suspended 2, we lower the third a whole step. And the reason I'm lowering it a whole step because that's the order of the notes of the scale. Again, there's a B. This A to a B is a whole step below. It's not a half. So that's why I'm picking an A or going a whole step down. And again, that A, I find it in the higher octave. So here's the B. I move it down a whole step. Here's my A. I go to my G shape and then add the A in. So we can hear it right there. So again, the 3 chords are going to look something like, here's a G, a G sus2 with my A. You can hear it right there. Back to my G, and then I'll go to my G sus4 up here. Yeah, so you can actually write kind of a verse. And I went to like just a C major 7 there at the end, so it's not really related, but it's kind of in the area. It sounds pretty good. Makes sense? Okay, cool. So what you're going to do is try to play around with scales and see if you can come up with your own sus3s and 4s.